Well, I believe it is a historic document. It is well worth reading, no matter what happens from now on. However, we should keep in mind it is just an MOU. It is a statement about mostly what they intend to do. It is not binding on what they will do. Many of the points are worded in a way that they're conditional. And in addition, Mr. Trump has added more conditions already in the hours since he signed it, um, talking about Iranian behavior. He likes to use the word, do they behave themselves? Uh, Clearly suggesting that elements of that memorandum will or will not be binding on the United States, depending on the United States judgment about how Iran is behaving. I'm going to presume, I haven't read statements by Iranian officials, but I'm going to presume that they have taken the same position. They will do whatever. And so, as you read through it, you begin to understand that there are two or three things that seem to be going to happen right away, pretty clearly, and then a great many things that may or may not be part of a final deal, may or may not look then the way they look now in the memorandum. So it is very important for people not to get carried away and imagine that this is a peace agreement, that this is some, not at all. Trump decided to do it in Versailles. For those who know some history, that's where the end of World War I was signed. This is not the end of a war. This was not that kind of signing. This is not that kind of document. Having said that, it does appear to me, as I believe it does to a majority, not just of the world, but of Americans across the political spectrum, that this is a loss for the United States and a gain for Iran. Even Mr. Trump's Republican supporters are, at the very least, badly split on that subject, with a significant number of people representing significant parts of his base looking at this and not quite believing it, which I need to say right off the bat for people to understand. Their opposition, which is now being mobilized, has in the past led Mr. Trump to go backwards and undo or try to undo what he has done. Is that a possibility now? Absolutely. It would be naive of people not to see that process unfolding. And it goes to an old American tradition, much older, by the way, than Mr. Trump. He's using it, he's riding it, but it predates him. Here it is. In the United States, with its origins in a kind of a Protestant, religious, theocratic way of thinking, which bumps up against the Islamic version of that in Iran. But put that aside for a minute. Here in the United States, we tend to demonize an adversary. If there's a Stalin in Russia, or today a Putin in Russia, if there's a Saddam Hussein, if there's a Muammar Gaddafi, if there's a Ayatollah in Iran, they are evil, monstrous. You develop a kind of religious notion of God at one hand, the good and the beautiful, and the devil, literally the opposite. Okay, when you do that and you mobilize your people to see in an adversary not someone you have a difficulty with, not someone whose interests diverge from yours. No, no, no. You're seeing, I'm going to quote now from our highest officials, Iran is a monstrous evil. That's a quote. An evil monster. Well, you can't make a compromise with an evil monster. You don't make a deal with it. We have literature, Mephistopheles, the ironic disaster for a person who makes a deal with the devil. It's an old theme. You don't do that. So Mr. Trump rides on the demonization of Iran, and now he makes a deal with Iran. And if you watched his press conference, because he's so self unaware, he talks about how, well, you can't really deny them missiles because other people in the Gulf area have missiles, and you can't really deny. What is he doing? He's trying to convince people how to be reasonable with people you're trying to make a deal with. If you want a deal, you got to give if you're going to get. But it's too late. He can't do that. He's been riding on, so he splits his base. Half of them will see, oh, yeah, it's reasonable, and they want to support him, and they will. The other half, or whatever the proportions are, will be horrified. He is making a deal with the devil, which we good people and you get into a really crazy, and out of that, I don't know what comes, and I don't think anybody does. Predicting the future is dangerous always, and in this situation, twice as dangerous. But here is what will happen. As best we can tell, and all of this, I'll come to in a moment, is conditional on Israel and on the American relation to Israel, which is becoming more important, I think, with every passing hour. But before we get to that, quickly, number one, the Strait of Hormuz will open. Number two, oil tankers will now move through that thing. That will earn a good bit of money, as has been pointed out. Iran will immediately benefit by being able, once again, to ship and sell its oil. So will the other Gulf countries. They will all be grateful that the money is beginning to move again in a way that it didn't before. That seems to be what's going to happen. The blockade, if I understand, is already being withdrawn so that shipping can go. And that will make the stock market happy because it was nervous before.